Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, everyone. You'll notice that I didn't say good afternoon, ladies, and good afternoon, gentlemen. It was in the last session in 2022, we had a session where we were told, in fact, we were educated that we should no longer say gentlemen and ladies, because there are people who don't subscribe to the binary view of gender. So I'm learning. I've got a lot of Gen Zs there in my company, and they are teaching me as well around these matters. So yeah, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Fundi. I'm with my colleague, Liezl, and we are going to be tackling this topic which I think at face value is actually controversial. It's controversial intentionally because we would like to take matters that are often under the table, bring them on top of the table so that we can engage them. So we're not here to impose our views about matters of the heart, but we thinking that there are certain conversations that must be had. And so Liezl will be driving the presentation on the technical side, and I'll be coming in with relevant anecdotes to make sure that we make this a bit more practical. So I'm gonna hand over to Liezl, my colleague. Liezl, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Doc.
Well, she had given me an instruction to say, how did this topic come about? So some of you will be aware that I do a lot of media work. So Cape Talk in the Western Cape, they phoned, asked Liezl to talk about this trending issue of ethical non-monogamy. She was so shocked by the request. She was not ready to deal with it. She passed it on to me. She said, please, I think Dr. Nyati will be better to talk about this thing. When the producer spoke to me, I also was not ready. One of the few times where I'm not ready to talk about a topic. Yeah. So since then, we decided let's just research around it and use this platform of EAPA to actually drive conversations around this topic. And so that is the history. We didn't just wake up and decide, let's go controversial. But you're gonna enjoy the session. All right, Liezl, over to you.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you, everyone, and welcome to today's session. It's good to see a full house. I think the fact that everybody's here probably says that you either know a lot about the topic or you want to learn something about the topic. So together we will learn today a little bit more about infidelity as well as ethical or consensual non-monogamy. So like Doc has indicated, we steered away from it, but I think controversy followed us. There was no way we could get away from it because following that, we were then invited to a discussion.
Yes. Yeah, we were invited by one of the clinical psychologists who's actually also controversial in terms of the topics that he brings, Mr. Aneda Siswana. He had a talk at Maslow's at Sentin. And in that talk, which was talking about infidelity, we found ourselves once again having to engage on this topic. So, yeah.
So we're bringing the topic to you since it followed us. The presentation on that Saturday was infidelity, cheating, sex, and relationships. So today we will just tackle a few of those things in the 2-hour session. So we're going to look at, Doc spoke about the background and how we came to do this. But we've also noticed a couple of trends, and I'll speak to you about that. Infidelity versus ethical non-monogamy, evolutionary psychology and what it says around E&M, or multiple partnerships, the African perspective, and that's where Doc will come in and discuss a little bit around that. And are there solutions to explore? You know, should we broaden our minds? Should we liberate our minds? You know, are our minds colonized by westernized thinking? And should we present different options to our clients? And like I said, we are not necessarily imposing any view. We would like to have a discussion and see where this takes us. So please raise your hand as we go along. Please bring case studies. Please bring your own experiences. We too would love to learn. We have become very, I don't know what's the word, Doc, intrigued, I think, on this topic. So let's learn together. Evolutionary relationships. How are we going to evolve the different types of relationships? What type of relationships are there, or do we only have one view of a relationship? Can I move with it, please? Okay, so we know that media has been telling us over time, for eons, for centuries, for decades, we've learned about divorce. 50% of marriages end up in divorce. And yes, we see the trend, and that is worldwide. South Africa is a little bit lower. We're currently on about 40%. But it turns out to be accurate. A great portion of marriages ends up in divorce. So where does that leave us? People are concerned, people are worried, people see this as a potential problem. We see it in our practices, we see it when people call in. But what if divorce itself is not the problem? I think that's the question. And we're going to leave you with a lot of questions. We're not necessarily going to give you a lot of answers today. I'm sorry to disappoint, but there will be a lot of questions. So what if divorce is just a symptom of something deeper that needs our attention? And what might that be? I think it's important to try and explore what is that something deeper that we need to look at? And will it liberate our minds? Or will it make us, you know, cringe and say, no, not for me? So the high divorce rate might actually be a calling to learn a new way of being in a relationship, a new way of being.
Yeah, no, I think it's sometimes important to put a face to some of these things. Guys, as I'm standing here, I went through a divorce, right? Age 25, I got married. Age 33, divorce. Was back to the market. But before I could actually, you know, move on with the market, there was a lot of inner work I needed to do so that I don't carry the stuff from my previous relationship to the next one. So you've got a veteran here, yeah? So at that time, I actually said, I don't like to be called a divorcee. I said, there's a lot of stigma with this thing. And so I crafted a name. I said, I'm a recycled bachelor. Yeah? You know? So as you know, in this day and age, things that are recycled sometimes carry more value than the original. That's assuming you've done the inner work.
Upcycled.
So I went back to the market prepared, knowing what I didn't do right, what I could do better on, and knowing myself better. When I went into the first marriage, I didn't know what my values were, what's core, what can be negotiable, you know. So when I went to the market again, I was clear. So through divorce, you could actually become a better product that can be a better person for whoever that sees value in you thereafter. Liezl, over to you.
Upcycled. Upcycled. So in
Oh yeah, do you want me to share about you?
I was going to disclose.
Yeah, so Liezl is the first person I know who got married twice to the same person. They got married, divorced, got married, divorced, They hooked up again, but this time she decided to boot the guy.
Boot. So yes, upcycled. We learn our patterns and we change them. And sometimes it takes 2 marriages. So maybe it's not divorce that's the problem. Maybe it's something deeper that we need to look at. So what is a bachelor? What's the female version? If we have to go female?
Well, a recycled spinster.
No, I'm just upcycled, Doc.
Oh, okay.
I'm upcycled. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Okay. So full disclosure, we know what we're talking about when we talk divorce. We know what we're talking about when we talk marriage. We're learning today about the new social norms and social constructs. So what do we see in our company when we get a lot of calls? There's big trends that we're seeing, and we've been seeing it over the past 5 years. Relationships is in the top 3 reasons for referrals, and I'm sure you've noticed that. It's always in the top 3. And sometimes it's number 1. People call in, it's relationships. I'm struggling with my partner. I'm struggling dealing with my marriage. Things have changed since we gotten married. Things are different. I think he or she might be cheating. I think they might have a partner. Things have changed. And a lot of mental health problems are coming up. So people come in and they would tell you that I think I'm depressed, I'm very anxious, I cannot focus. When you delve deeper, you realize what it is. Relationship. It's a relationship. So even in private practice, and I've spoken to a lot of my colleagues, 65% of everybody that comes in, and more in some practices, what is the issue? Relationships, definitely. And when we talk about relationships, the top number 1 reason is infidelity. We talk about, I'm separated. You know, we now have legal separations as well, not in South Africa, but everywhere else. We have divorce, we have relationship discord. So things change. Differences in how the relationship dynamics have shifted. Differences in how do I negotiate the shift, because now I don't know. I find myself in uncharted territory. And how do I perceive the shift? How do I change it? What is my impression on it? Do I want to shift even? Or do I feel that the person who is shifting or causing the shift is in the wrong? Because that is not a person that I know. So again, questions around dynamics that are changing. Were I aware of it? Was I not? And then trust issues. Has this person been honest with me? You know, what is it that I don't know? Do I know myself? So a lot of questions coming up when we see the dynamics starting to shift. Please, if you need to share anything around case studies or, you know, anything that might have happened that you know of, please let us share. We are learning together. And what does this shift in dynamics mean? It's just the evolution of a relationship. Relationships evolve. They're not stagnant. They change. So why do we question them? Why do we have this discomfort? Like, you know, I'm in a skin that I can't, that's not flexible, that's rigid. So should we shift our thinking? And what is required in order to shift our thinking? Let's quickly have a look at marriage and divorce in South Africa. Who's the statistics doc? I'm a twice statistic. So, but I'm not part of that statistic, that 10-year gap. It was before then. Yeah, both of us. So we've just given away our age. So we have seen that marriage in South Africa has declined consistently over the last 10 years. Decline. 2016, slightly up. Wonder what happened in 2016. Slightly up, and marriage has been declining. So we had lockdown in 2020. COVID-19, obviously a drop. Yeah. A lot of you might have been affected, either invited or marriages, weddings have been cancelled. So we see the drop in 2020. And then in 2021, when everything opened, marriage went up. So this statistics was just released in February of this year by Stats SA. So we expecting a major increase in divorces, because we've seen that across the world. COVID-19 has led to a significant increase in the divorce rate. Suddenly we find ourselves with somebody 24/7. Suddenly we realize that this person, what I previously thought was a quirk, was cute, is all of a sudden an irritation, isn't it? So that's why divorce rates all of a sudden went up quite significantly. So there, slight increase of 0.6%, which was not really significant in 2016, and then an increase of 19.2% in 2021. So we know we can ascribe that to COVID-19. So are South Africans losing interest in marriage? Are they changing their minds? Are they just changing their thinking? Are they evolving relationships? And then, yeah, that included a range of customary marriages, civil marriages, as well as civil unions. Let's look at divorce. So obviously, 2020, divorce rates went up because everything was closed down.
Liezl, just whilst they're sorting out your mic, I'm thinking, all right, there was that reduction in marriages, which is understandable during 2020. 2021, one of the reasons could be that those people who were lonely didn't have commitments during COVID, as they were negotiating that period, and others were dying without the support or getting sick without support. That could have played a role, because people already say, okay, I think we've been dating for some time, maybe we must make this thing real, because I don't want to die alone. Yeah.
True. And distance, some people were separated by distance, and what do they say? Absence makes the heart grow fonder until you're with them. And then you realize, okay, maybe I made a mistake. So yes, true, Doc. So more women than men file for divorce, and I mean that's a known fact. Men don't want to do the work. The dirty work gets done by the woman. So median age of divorce, 45 years. For men, 41 years for women. 4 in 10 marriages of divorces came from marriages not even reaching 10 years. Not even reaching 10 years.
I'm familiar with that.
Me too.
Yeah, because there's this thing called the 7-year itch. By 7 years, you're like, ish, am I going to be with this person for the rest of my life?
Yes.
But already for me, I was in trouble by that time, So, but yeah, the first 3 years is really more like a honeymoon kind of period. But thereafter, real changes, they happen in the relationship. And some of them are difficult to manage.
Yes.
So they say from around year 3, when the wife talks, the husband replies, and the neighbors are listening. Yeah.
Yeah, for me it was year 4, Doc, year 4. So not reaching 10 years. So both of us, statistics, not reaching 10 years. And then 26% of divorces lasted between 5 and 9 years, marriages. 21%, so just over 20%, between 10 and 14 years. 16% less than 5 years. So, how many people are actually staying married? Should people be getting married? We're not saying no, don't. We're just asking questions today. So.
Well, I'm just thinking about something else too. Maybe there on the marriages, if you come from this part of the world, the Eastern Cape, the lobola is becoming hectic. Some families are charging hectic amounts. By the way, we are in the town of Dr. Nandi Pamakutumana, here. Yes. Port Edward, yeah? So, but anyway, we're not talking about her here, please. So, but I'm just saying, the lobola thing is becoming hectic. I wonder how much of that actually makes people to think twice about getting married, because it's becoming a commercial transaction in a big way.
Yes, issues of finances and money. So why are people, we're going to get to infidelity as well. So if we look at population groups, majority of divorces, people that are Black African, followed by colored, followed by white, and lastly, Indian Asian.
But I think there's no surprise there though, because proportionally, Black Africans are in the majority in the country. Therefore, it stands to reason that there should be more of them who are actually filing for divorces, you know. I don't know, because in the past, you know, older people were opposed to divorce. They would say in Zulu, "Bekezela ngane yami," you know. In Sotho, they would say, "Khotlelela," you know, like, persevere, my child, it will come right, you know. So, Liezl, yeah?
Okay, and then this is just in terms of duration of marriage. We spoke about that. I just asked for the time, Doc.
Okay.
So I don't want us to go over time. Age group and population group, so for males and for females. And you will be provided with a presentation as well. So now we all know, we see the trends. We see the trends in South Africa. We've heard about trends. You know about the trends in your own practices and working with people. We know that relationships is one of the key reasons for people reaching out. My question to you is, how do we assist? What do we do? Person comes to you and they present with relationship problems. How do you assist? Anybody?
She's asking this question because the majority of people in this room are counseling professionals who in their day-to-day work deal with people who are presenting with relationship problems, or at least refer these people, you know, to somebody else who can provide, you know, further help.
In my situation, I prefer to give individual sessions first.
Yeah.
Because one wouldn't rush to marriage counseling or
Yeah.
marital counseling before people understand themselves.
Yeah.
So that's the start.
Yeah. You're right. I did not understand myself. You know, I met a lady that was like, my heart was skipping a beat, and I was like, I want to be with this person. But only later in the relationship, you find that the value system is just not, you know, aligned. And therefore, whatever I see, I may say, oh no, she did this, she did that, but ultimately it was going to happen because we're not aligned. So, but I didn't know myself. So that experience forced me to know who I am, why I'm here on earth, and what kind of person should I move on with going forward. So it's better that you start with helping people to know who they are in the context of that relationship.
Anybody have a different view, a different approach? And we can differ. We do have different approaches. Doesn't mean because one person has one view or approach, therapeutic approach, that there aren't others that are successful. Anybody else? At the back.
Good afternoon. I concur with the latter speaker, but I was also going to say, I think assessment is the one that is assisting us as to where we go. Maybe in that assessment session, you could even figure out, maybe you can throw some questions as to why these two get married in the first place. And you would find different stories. And in those stories, even themselves could see that they are not taking the right direction. Some have lacked premarital counseling they dated each other for so long and they thought they are ready for. And the marriage is an institution that does not require a principal and a lecturer. It needs all of us to be students in that department. So as you proceed with one, maybe you would call the first, maybe a male or a female, it depends who comes first. You would see the point of having a group session, but at times their stories could tell you that you are not going to help these people. You rather refer these people to an intense therapy. Maybe you are not capacitated enough or you are not able to render that. So you outsource that service so that you are not part of what you have observed. But it is key to even give a feedback to the person that you are referring them to say these are my observations, but you can use your own diagnosis. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Can I quote you where you note that they're not going in the right direction?
I think another factor, good afternoon, colleagues.
Yes.
Another factor is to look at why the couple is there, if they come for couples therapy. Do they want you to help them to go through the divorce, or do they want you to help them to overcome whatever obstacles that they have? So to answer the referral question, if they are referred to you or they came as walk-in, to me it's very important to know why, what are they here for. That will determine the treatment plan for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So sometimes one can look at that and say, a couple comes to you and there are really three options. You either continue on the path that you're on, which you have been for a couple of months, years. You are here to seek a different route. You either embark on that with the pain and the struggle that's going to come with that and the commitment, or you go your separate ways. So that's the way of looking at it. But people come and we offer how we've been trained. We offer them the training solutions, isn't it? The basic counseling solutions. So, yes, counseling can provide them a safe space where they can explore different things, where they can explore and process their emotions and gain perspectives and learn about themselves, where they can learn about the other person. It's about communication. Can help them to make better processes, either through the divorce or the maintaining the marriage. Can help them identify, Doc, you mentioned values. Can help them to identify values and priorities and work with them to make decisions to align with those values. So people might find that they have different values. So what are the 7 steps really in most instances? Stages of grief, mourning, important. Mourning the loss of the relationship that I thought I was going to have. Care to elaborate? Mourning the loss of the relationship I thought I was going to have. Nobody promised it. I had an expectation. So it's important to mourn the loss of my expectation. If you don't do that, you're going to get, become stuck. And you're going to blame. It's going to be a blame game. And that's number 2, where you teach the client to move from blame to accountability. A relationship takes, in normal sense, 2 people. Today we're going to talk about various people. So, it takes 2 to tango. So, everybody has accountability at the end of the day. We can't just assign blame. You didn't tell me you wanted this. Did I ask? Teach effective communication strategies. How do we communicate? So, Doc, how would I communicate? Would I become passive-aggressive if you address me at work? So, different communication techniques. How do I communicate with my partner? Do I shout? Do I withdraw? Do I speak my mind and walk away? Do I sit and sulk? So teaching people about communication, because whatever we do, we communicate. So there's the 7. You've read through it. That is what one normally does when a person presents or a couple. You assist them. So now we're shifting gears slightly. We've been taught in a westernized way how to deal with things, orthodox solutions. And today, maybe we need to look at some other options and solutions that we can present. And I think it's important to look at what is the client's world